Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering John, chapters 1 through 3. It's about damn time.
Yeah. And for those of you joining us from the R and Raw stream earlier today, thank you so much.
Yeah, how did the R and Raw stream go?
I think it went far better than our initial reading of Genesis.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I do think so.
We got through 5 lines.
We got through 5 lines.
I think our reading is far superior.
No, trust me, it was not.
Oh, yeah.
We've improved over time.
We have, yeah, I would say so. So it's nice to have at least a little bit of redemption.
So when's Aaron coming on?
Oh, I should have probably asked him about that.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, that was my bad. But I'm sure we can get him on at some point. But either way, we're talking about John today. This is not one of the synoptic gospels, and it contains a whole bunch of stuff that's just not in any of the other gospels.
Yeah, so why don't we introduce the books that we're reading from? I have the King James Version of the Bible.
Of the what now?
The Bible.
The Bible, okay. I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We have the Jewish Annotated New Testament and the NIV Study Bible.
We also have Erdman's commentary on the Bible. We have
Jason. Boy, it's been a while.
Jason, good to see you. It's been a while.
Oh, hey, Jason.
Yeah. We have Erdman's commentary on the Bible. We have the Greek New Testament. We have a textual guide to the Greek New Testament. We have from Ernst Henken, I think it's a German name, the commentary and translation of John 1 from the Hermenia series. We love the Hermenia series.
We have the New King James Version. We have the text of the New Testament by Bruce Metzger and the Historical Jesus in Context by Amy Jo Levine and company.
Yeah, we also have the New Testament survey from the New Interpreter's Bible.
Yeah. Why did you take that from my side?
Because I was going to read from it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to read from these books.
I know.
You know what? And I'm going to tell you about John.
I was going to tell you about John, but go ahead. You do your thing.
Well, this is from the NIV Study Bible. The author is the Apostle John.
Also, not quite, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. So let me tell you about John, the character John,
son of Zebedee. Yeah.
Yeah. He was prominent in the early church, but is not mentioned by name in this gospel, which would be natural if he wrote it, but hard to explain otherwise. The author knew Jewish life well, as seen from references to popular messianic speculations, to the hostility between Jews and Samaritans, and to Jewish customs, such as the duty of circumcision on the 8th day, taking precedence over the prohibition of working on the Sabbath. He knew the geography of Palestine, locating Bethany about 15 stadia, about 2 miles from Jerusalem, and mentioning Cana, a village not referred to in any earlier writing known to us. The Gospel of John has many touches that were obviously based on recollections of an eyewitness, such as the house of Bethany being filled with the fragrance of the broken perfume jar. Early writers such as Irenaeus and Tertullian say that John wrote this gospel.
Yeah. It became very popular in the mid-2nd century to attribute this to John, son of Zebedee.
Mm-hmm. And this guy holds that all other evidence agrees.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, from the New Interpreter's Bible. Okay, so, yeah, as I just mentioned, a lot of people did think that this was John, son of Zebedee, who wrote this, even though it doesn't say that. But either way, it doesn't really have to be written by somebody, right? So beginning in the mid-2nd century, church theologians identified John, the son of Zebedee, with the disciple whom Jesus loved, which is the last verse of the book, I believe. So afterwards... as this quotation from Irenaeus shows, quote, afterwards, John, the disciple of the Lord, who also had leaned upon his breast himself, published his gospel while he was living at Ephesus in Asia. Despite Irenaeus' identification, there is no clear internal fourth gospel evidence to support linking John, the son of Zebedee, with the beloved disciple. The tradition of the apostolic authorship of the gospel began to erode in the 19th century. The disciple whom Jesus loved is always identified by his relationship with Jesus, never by name. There is one passing reference to the sons of Zebedee at 21:2. the introduction to a scene in which the beloved disciple appears, but this verse also contains a reference to, quote, 2 other of his disciples, so that no clear identification is possible. The identification of John, the son of Zebedee, with the beloved disciple can be conjecture at best and is based largely on the desire to ascribe apostolic authorship to this gospel. Yet this very understanding of apostolic authority runs counter to the fourth gospel's understanding of discipleship. The 12 have a very minimal role in this gospel. They are mentioned explicitly only at 669, 71, and 2024. Therefore, it is not necessary to postulate that the beloved disciple was one of the 12 in order for him to have had authority within his community. In addition to the gospel, 4 other New Testament books are associated with the name John. I do cover those in the Forged Fiction series. That would be 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, and Revelation. So although the tradition, and by the way, Revelation and the Gospel of John were definitely not written by the same person. They use different words for the same thing, like lamb, for example. Like, I forget which one is which. When we come across it, I'll check. So when it comes to one of them uses Adonion and one of them uses Amnon, but they both mean lamb. And it's used throughout each of the works, but I forget which one is in which. So I'll have to check that once we get to it.
Yeah, and there is a lot in the introduction from the Jewish annotated New Testament that goes into a lot of depth on various things.
Tell me about it.
I'm sure.
So, for example, let me tell you about the authorship. The gospel itself identifies the beloved disciple as the author, or at least the authority behind the story of Jesus. This figure, who appears in the scene of Jesus' last meal with his disciples, is depicted as the disciple who is closest to Jesus. At the cross, Jesus appoints him to take care of his mother. Since the 2nd century, the beloved disciple has been identified with John, son of Zebedee, one of the 12 disciples mentioned in the Synoptics. See, for example, the 2nd century Gnostic text, the Apocryphon of John, as well as Irenaeus, Eusebius, etc. The tradition is not likely to be historical. The sons of Zebedee are not mentioned in the Gospel of John until 21:2, and John is not mentioned by name at all. Further, the beloved disciple is known to be the high priest in 1915. Such acquaintance would be unlikely for a Galilean fisherman, such as John, the son of Zebedee. The Gospel's author cannot be identified, although his anonymity might imply that he is a symbolic figure. Most scholars consider him to be historical, if somewhat idealized figure who may have been known to or even seen as leader by the Gospel's intended audience. The Gospel's references to early 1st century topography of Jerusalem, such as the pool at Beth Zatha near the Sheep Gate, are supported archaeologically and suggest direct knowledge of the city and surroundings. It is not possible to know whether it was the gospel author or his sources that possessed this direct knowledge, nor do these references require a Judean province for this gospel. The explanation of Jewish practices and social attitudes, and the fact that the Greek is the gospel's original language, suggests a diaspora provenance for the final version. The final version of the gospel has traditionally been assigned to Ephesus in Asia Minor, Izmir province, modern Turkey, based on references in the writings of Irenaeus and Eusebius. Also here, they go into dating a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to get into that.
And
so the thing is, there are a lot, like our earliest manuscript of the New Testament is from John.
Mhm.
And it's like early to mid 2nd century. So it's really old, very close to time of composition, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's some good hard evidence that it was definitely written by then, right? Because it's a manuscript dating from that time period. So there were canons that included it at this time. Like the Muratorian canon is the one that's cited the most often, because I think that might be our earliest one. So it's at least our earliest canon list, I should say. And considering the dates of all the people who cited it, it's been around for obviously a while, but it is the latest, I would say, of the Gospels, and I'm going to go into that here. In addition to the external evidence, being the manuscript evidence, good job. In addition to the external evidence, the Gospel points to the crisis that may have precipitated its composition and hence provides additional assistance in arriving at a date. At 3 places in the Gospel, the expression, quote, put out of the synagogue occurs. In a highly influential study, J. Louis Martin proposed that this phrase refers to a practice of excommunicating perceived heretics from the synagogue. Now, I think that that's almost definitely true, because if you consider the Johannine epistles, I go into this in depth in the Forged Fiction series videos on the Johannine epistles, but when they use the term Antichrist, I think and I argue for it in the video, I think they are referring to a very specific docetic group that broke off of the Johannine community. So I don't think this is too far off here. So this practice was formalized in the benediction against heretics, a benediction introduced into the synagogue liturgy sometime after the destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70 CE and probably between 85 and 95 CE. There is considerable scholarly debate about the precise contours and dating of this benediction. Nonetheless, this benediction offers an important example of the religious conflicts within first century Judaism. The destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70 CE, the cultic center, meant a radical reorientation of Jewish religious life. And I'm going to say, as is tradition, because that's basically what happened after the exile.
The Oxford Companion.
The Oxford Companion. We don't talk about the Oxford Companion.
And off screen.
Yeah, and it's gonna
very large books, and it should stay there.
It's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you a few things here, Lawrence, because this argues for a different dating.
Oh yeah,
that which you have. All right, so. While all the Gospels share some common traditions, insufficient evidence exists to determine whether the fourth Gospel had access to a complete text of one or more of the synoptics. Consequently, it is not possible to date John on the basis of a literary dependence upon one or more other canonical Gospels. Dating the Gospels based on its theology is equally problematic. A late 1st century or early 2nd century dating has been suggested on the basis of the Gospel's high Christology, which focuses on Jesus' role as the Son of God rather than on his human aspect.
Yeah, it's definitely the most, how should I even put this? It's the most exalted Gospel.
Well, earlier examples of exalted views of Jesus, however, such as Phil 2:6-11,
Philippians.
Yep. Cast doubt on the usefulness of this criterion for determining the Gospel's date. Nor can we appeal to historical circumstances for dating John's Gospel, for no external evidence exists for its initial audience. Appealing to internal evidence, some scholars claim that the Gospel was written within and for a particular group of Christ believers, often referred to as the Johannine community. These scholars reconstruct the historical experience of the community on the basis of the 3 references to synagogue expulsion. These passages refer to an expulsion from the synagogue of those who confess Jesus to be the Messiah. Because expulsion on these grounds would be unlikely in Jesus' own time, some argue that these passages, and indeed the gospel as a whole, should be read as a 2-level drama. The first level is the story of Jesus in the first third of the 1st century. The second is the story of the Johannine community in the latter decades of the 1st century. According to this reading, the Gospel of John testifies to a parting of the ways forced by the Jews. Synagogue exclusion would have been tantamount to removal from the Jewish community, with numerous social and economic consequences. External corroboration for the expulsion hypothesis has been sought in the Curse of the Heretics, Birkat HaMinim, the blessing concerning the heretics, that was added to the daily Amidah prayer, supposedly in the late 1st century, as a way of flushing undesirables, including Jewish Christ confessors, out of the worship service, and thereby from the community. On this basis, the gospel is dated to the late 1st century after 85 CE. This construction is flawed on both literary and historical grounds. Although it is reasonable to assume that the gospel incorporates the worldview and addresses the concerns of its intended audience, there is no evidence that the gospel encodes the specific historical experiences of its audience as a second-level narrative in its story of Jesus. More significantly, no other parts of the gospel lend themselves easily to this two-level reading. On the contrary, the well-documented theological diversity within the first century Judaism makes it unlikely that Jews would have been excluded from the synagogue for believing Jesus to be the Messiah. Such diversity is evidenced, for example, by disagreement between Pharisees and Sadducees on such fundamental matters as the authority of oral tradition and the belief in bodily resurrection, and the similar messianic claims were made for and the distinctive views expressed in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Indeed, the Palestinian Talmud, Ta'an 68d, asserts that similar messianic claims were made for Simeon bar Kosiba in the period of 132 to 135 by the prominent Rabbi Akiva, whose status within Rabbinic Judaism did not suffer as a result. While the historicity of this rabbinic tradition cannot be verified, it casts some doubt on the gospel's strong assertions of Jewish opposition to Jesus based primarily on his messianic claims. Finally, there is no corroborating evidence for the curse on the heretics as early as the first or early second century in a form that could have excluded Jewish Christ confessors from the synagogue. In sum, the lack of external corroboration for the expulsion hypothesis precludes any attempt to date the gospel based on this theory. For these reasons, scholars most often look to textual evidence when attempting to determine the gospel's date. Many scholars consider the Rylands Library Papyrus 52, an Egyptian codex fragment
that's the oldest one.
Of John 1831 to 33, 37 through 38, to be the earliest material evidence for the fourth gospel. This fragment is dated by most, though not all, scholars to 135 through 160.
Yeah.
If one accepts the tradition that the gospel was written in Asia Minor, it may have taken several decades before it reached Egypt. On this basis, the gospel is generally dated to the late first or early second century.
Yeah.
So there is some reason to believe that it's late first or early second century, but it is not strong reason. It is just on the basis of like one manuscript that exists, and
That's a pretty important manuscript.
it is an important manuscript, but it is a fragment of a manuscript that, like, it even says most people date it to a certain period. So who knows, really? Probably somewhere between the 1st and 10th century.
Wow. Amazing. So good. So good.
The Gospel of John Doe, date unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to it was pointed out where it says like now there is in Jerusalem, Jason. So I'm not. Once we get to verse 5:2, I'll check it in the Greek. But the thing about the word "is" in Greek is that it is often left out. We'll see if it is included. And if it is a present tense of the word "is," we also can't forget about historical presence, where they are in the present tense, but they are written for the past. It's to like get the person in the moment. Mm-hmm. Like it's to put you at that place so you could read it with more vigor, I guess. But we'll check the Greek when we get there.
Yeah. So something that's very significant about the Gospel of John is anti-Judaism.
Yeah, it is much more anti-Jewish than the others.
Yeah,
because Matthew, for example, like Matthew was very obviously Jewish, and he was always arguing for keeping up those Jewish traditions.
Mm-hmm. So the term hoi laudaioi, or variations, appear more than 70 times. The translation of the term is one of the most contentious issues in Johannine studies. The term originally referred to residents of Judea, but by the 2nd century BCE, it had broadened to include Jews more generally, whether they lived in Judea, elsewhere in the land of Israel, or in the diaspora. Some translators argue for a variable rather than a consistent translation. The Jews should be used in neutral or positive context, as in references to the festivals of the Jews, but as Jewish authorities or even political authorities when used negatively, in order to differentiate Jesus' enemies from the Jewish people as a whole. But, that's speculative, right? Although the specific reference of hoi laudaioi within the narrative varies according to its literary context, more important than each usage is the overall effect of the relentless repetition of it. The Gospel's repetition of the term serves two important rhetorical functions. It blurs the boundaries among various Jewish groups, and it designates the forces that are hostile to Jesus. It is striking that ho laudaioi is never used to describe the disciples and other followers who are certainly Jewish with regard to their religious and ethnic origin. Similarly, Jesus is not referred to as a Jew, except for once by the Samaritan woman who wonders that Jesus, a Jew, asks a drink of a Samaritan woman. Instead, the gospel uses Israelite and Israel as positive terms. Jesus refers to Nathanael approvingly as an Israelite in whom there is no deceit.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Nathanael, in turn, declares Jesus to be the King of Israel. And the enthusiastic crowds who greet Jesus as he enters Jerusalem before his final Passover do the same. The effect is to distance the readers from any group designated as hoi laudaioi, regardless of the referent. On the basis of these factors, the generic and consistent translation of ho laudaioi is the most suitable. Although some scholars translate the term as Judeans, most translations correctly use Jews consistently.
Right.
From the beginning, he depicts them as those who reject Jesus, persecute him, seek his death, expel believers.
Does it say anywhere where that where it pops up, where the word pops up?
More than 70 times.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess, but okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess we'll see it in short order.
Whenever it says the Jews.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of condemnations about the Jews. It says that the paradox that the gospel presents extends to its relationship to Judaism. The gospel makes abundant uses of Jewish scriptures, though direct quotations and allusions, as well as more subtly through its appropriation of its characters, motifs, and stories that are then interpreted through the lens of faith in Jesus as Christ and Son of God. This gospel also has numerous parallels to the Second Temple and later rabbinic sources, as well as references to Jewish practices. At the same time, the gospel is highly disturbing in its representation of the Jews. The Jews are the arch enemies of Jesus and his followers. They are oblivious to the truth and relentless in pursuit of Jesus to the point of masterminding his demise. Wow. Their behavior towards Jesus and their failure to believe demonstrate that they have relinquished their covenantal relationship with the God of Israel and show them to be instead the children of the devil. For this reason, John's gospel has been called both the most Jewish and the most anti-Jewish of the gospels.
Yeah, it's an interesting. The same thing. Matthew gets that title a lot too, because it's the most Jewish in one sense, but because it's the most Jewish, but not arguing for like a Jewish understanding of the world, I guess, right? Because they're saying that this Jesus guy is the one to be propped up. That is somehow both the most Jewish and the most anti-Jewish. So it is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, we're about to start John.
Yes. All right. Let's start John. Hope you liked that introduction.
Yeah, we are going to go into something new. Something new for the New Testament, which is Logos theology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Logos, of course, it can mean a lot of things, but it generally is translated as word. It could mean argument. It could mean saying. It could mean a lot of stuff. But word is the most basic meaning there.
Yeah. So in John chapter 1, which is where we're starting.
Who was it we were reading that took all Jewish references out? Did we read someone like that?
Did we?
I remember I mentioned Marcion. Marcion was known to do that. Yeah, it said that it was said by his critics that he took a knife to the Gospels, I think, because he cut out all the Jewish stuff. Maybe you're thinking of that, but I don't remember if we read the works of somebody who did that.
We're getting a recommendation to change it to Laz 1 through 3.
The Laz don't.
Perhaps Lazarus is the author, but
John's the book, though.
we gotta call it.
Yeah,
by
could you imagine how confused everyone would be?
Yeah, it'd be pretty great though.
Okay, I'm hopping into chapter 1. And this opens way differently than any of the previous Gospels.
Yeah, it does. In fact, it opens very, very biblically.
Yes. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yep. All right. So already a lot of great Christological stuff to talk about. In order to avoid misunderstanding, it may be inserted here that theos and hotheos. So theos would just mean God or divine, and hotheos would be that's the article, right? So it's the God. So they were not the same thing in this period. Philo has therefore written the logos means only theos, divine, and not hotheos. Either way. So since the logos is not God in the strict sense, Philo was not thinking of giving up Jewish monotheism. In a similar fashion, Origen too interprets the evangelist does not say that the logos is God, but only that the logos is divine. In fact, for the author of the hymn, as for the evangelist, only the Father was God. And they even say that hotheos, they reference 17:3 here. The Son was subordinate to him, 14:28. But that is only hinted at in this passage because here the emphasis is on the proximity of one to the other. The Logos was in the presence of God. The two preposition eis, which could mean into or towards, and then pros is also very similar here, which can mean against. Or with a view to. So by the way, the two prepositions eis and pros with the accusative were originally used only in response to the question whither. In koine, they are also used frequently for en and para. Yeah, that's true. So en would of course be in. That's where we get that word from. And para, I'm sure you've heard this a lot, right? Like in parallel. Could be like to the side of,
in relation,
nearby, in relation,
paradoxical.
Yeah. So in Koine they are used frequently for en and para with the dative in response to the question where. The logos therefore was not a substitute for God in the beginning, but lives in and out of this fellowship. But precisely for this reason, vis-a-vis that he alone had this primeval union with God, does he take on added significance.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me give you some more details about this. For the word for word, Greeks use the term not only for the spoken word, but also the unspoken word. The word still in the mind, the reason. When they applied it to the universe, they meant the rational principle that governs things. Jesus, on the other hand, used it as a way of referring to God. Thus, John used a term that was meaningful to both Jews and Gentiles. Now, we already have a contradiction in logic in the first verse here, where it says the Word was with God and was God. That is, the Word is distinct from the Father. Jesus is distinct from God, and Jesus is God in the fullest sense. This is a logical contradiction, of course, and once you start accepting both A and not A, it becomes impossible to assign truth values to truth tables. So, we have already thrown out all possibilities of logic and reason within John's gospel in the first verse.
The thing is, there are Christologies that do... they make sense, in a certain framework, right? They're not internally contradictory. So they do.
But John 1:1 is internally contradictory. There's no way around that.
Right, but no,
We're not
the
even
way
telling
that
you whether this is like true or false or not.
The
We're
way-
just telling you that it contradicts itself.
the way around
immediately.
it was what I was reading about the different definitions of logos, or sorry, of the different definitions of
Right.
theos.
So there are different ways that you can
So you could say
define
that.
it.
So you could say that he was with God, but he was also well. Actually, let me see if it uses hotheos
Check
or
the Greek.
it does use
The same
yeah.
term.
it uses the article.
Mhm.
So
when-
hold on, and yeah, okay. So this is interesting. So, so in the beginning, was the Word, and the Word was, yeah, I guess you could translate it as was with the God, and theos. It doesn't say hotheos. There's no article, and theos, yeah, and the logos was theos.
So the operations are still the same, right? With and was
Yeah.
simultaneously, which is a logical contradiction. But also, if they do mean to use the term,
If they're
if
using
they do
theos as
mean to
divine,
use different definitions there, then they're committing a logical fallacy and they're conflating terminology, right?
not necessarily, because
Yes, when you make a single statement and you use multiple definitions of the same term in the same statement, but you treat it as if it is
right.
not.
But the thing is, the argument would be that they're not being treated as the same term because one has the article and one doesn't.
Okay, but that is just how language works. That right, like for it to operate in the sentence.
So
in the
you
way-
could translate this as like
forager thinks
and-
that
and-
you foragers should forage more.
the Word was with
There you
God,
go.
and the Word was divine. You could translate it that way.
Okay, well, you could do it that way. Well, for what reason would you come to the conclusion
Listen, I don't know.
that the same word being used twice in one sentence?
I mean, I'm
is-
guessing the article would be the reason.
Guys, this could also be another instance of a 2,000-year-old game of telephone, and we're not really sure what. they
Because it's
meant.
not like theos itself is like a title or anything.
Yeah, but look, if I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to use one word, right? Then, right, like if I say,
What about that actual sentence? Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
well, forget about nonsense
Or
sentences.
police.
Yeah, that one too.
Forget about nonsense sentences.
Not nonsense.
When I use the same term, like if you say buffalo, 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 right?
Yeah.
It has no meaning to anyone.
Well,
okay?
I mean, realistically, no, it wouldn't, right? But like the thing
like
is,
you
like
would have
The
to
one I
build
said
up.
actually makes sense.
yours does too. Yeah,
And it
police,
makes
police,
sense
police,
without
police,
much-
police.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that does make sense
Thank
because
you,
it's being
Jason,
used
for the poor buffalo.
because it's being used as both a verb and a noun.
Yeah,
It's
annoying,
it's
but it
very
works.
clear in this case, in John 1:1, that if they intend to use the same term with two different definitions, that they're using it in such a way that the two definitions would be conflated. Just because you have some object particle that is thrown into a sentence doesn't mean that like the average speaker of a language they would interpret it as the same way that people reading this in English would interpret it, right?
There's definitely a good chance of that. Yeah, like you're definitely not wrong. That this is phrased very, very poorly.
It is either an outright rejection of reason in accepting both A and not A,
yeah.
or it is fallacious reasoning.
I'm gonna start off my my book. You know, the one about how everything works. It's gonna say that we don't know how anything works, and we can't. Basically,
We
There you
know
go.
everything about how everything works, and we can. It will be the second sentence.
Yeah, there you go.
This is-
Exactly. See, there he's
It's
on.
the equivalent.
That's
of
the
this.
equivalent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
like-
already know everything, and we can do everything too. Yeah.
The thing is, if you, because this is why I think, at least having the Greek for this part especially is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like either, yes, it's completely internally contradictory and fallacious, or they're just using two different definitions of the same word in the same sentence.
Which happens.
You can't do that. It's not often that happens,
No.
especially in English.
It's considered poor writing.
Right.
They don't like make any effort to expound on that.
They
though.
don't. They
And
don't.
by not expounding on it, they leave open like the definite possibility, which is what seems to be the case with Logos theology and Trinitarian theology, right? Which seems to have taken hold,
It has, yeah.
right?
Although I do love, because this is why I love Christology in general, because it's so interesting to see like how people make sense of it later.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just very interesting to me.
Yeah. But let me tell you a little more about 1:1. All right. In contrast to Matthew and Luke, John lacks a description of Jesus' conception and birth. Neither Joseph nor Mary figures into the account of Jesus' human origins. Rather, Jesus' arrival in the world is described in cosmological terms, and his role as God's son is emphasized. The poetic structure of the prologue in the presence of some terms that are not otherwise found in the gospel suggests that 1:1 through 18 may have been built around an earlier hymn. So that is an interesting bit. Here it echoes Genesis 1:1. It also references Psalm 33:6 with God's power of creation and redemption in the Word. It suggests wisdom because wisdom is present.
Yeah, we're
With
going to
God.
get wisdom in here too. Remember wisdom?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get wisdom.
Personified.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume that there are some Christologies that identify Jesus with the female wisdom character.
Well, no, they identify the logos with that because the logos was a pre-existing thing.
But Jesus is the Logos.
Incarnate, yeah. But I guess like under that Christology, I guess the logos wouldn't have a gender, but the man Jesus would.
Yeah, but wisdom has a gender.
Yes.
So wisdom
Right,
and
so
Logos
I guess
aren't
yeah, you're right.
or
Okay.
are they?
So no, because then it would be that wisdom, if they identify it with the logos, then whatever is in that Christology, whatever is possessing, quote unquote, possessing Jesus, it all depends on the Christology, but then that form would be male, but the divine aspect is female.
So for Philo, God's Logos was the first fruit of creation. The wisdom of Ben Sira in that is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus.
Which we've read.
Yep. Identifies wisdom with the divine commandments, that is the Torah. This identification persists throughout the rabbinic period.
It did, yes. Yeah. Like even though in the like Proverbs, like wisdom is very obviously like a whole other character, or is at least portrayed as a whole other character. And while with wisdom, you probably get all the info from like the Torah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't. I don't think it was ever made like explicit that wisdom was in fact all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can also see, as we said, Proverbs 8:22 through 31, where wisdom speaking says, "I was there, I was beside him."
Yeah.
Right at the beginning. Well, that's enough on the first verse.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's continue here. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Yo, that's not redundant at all.
It's not.
You know what? Maybe the author of John is just bad at this.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just a bad writer. Maybe it's really that
Man,
simple.
you wrote a bad book.
No,
He's very redundant.
It is not redundant. It's very straightforward. That all things were made by him,
Yeah.
and without him,
Nothing was
anything
made.
that was made was not made.
Yeah, no, I get.
So that's not redundant. It's stating if
Sorry.
A then B,
What-
if not A then not B.
What I meant by redundant was just the word usage.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I
mean
guess
the meaning.
I guess that was way more common in Greek, where they would do that a lot. Like now we try to like change it up, I guess, because it gets weird to read the same word over and over again. But yeah, that was a fairly common thing in ancient Greek.
Yeah. Okay. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but he was sent to bear witness of that light.
Yeah, so was that verse 6?
That was verse 8.
That was verse 8. Oh my god. All right. So yeah, so for verse 6, I guess. So if a comma is placed after anthropos, that just means human, and after theou, which means of God, the words sent by God are parenthetical. He cites another translation here, the REB, quote, there appeared a man named John, he was sent from God. If, on the other hand, a comma is not placed after anthropos, the focus is on the fact that John was sent from God.
Also,
Compare
John
the
here is a
NRSV.
reference to John the Baptist, not
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. So compare the NRSV. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. Yeah. So because there was no punctuation in ancient Greek.
Yeah.
So it depends on how we break up the sentence.
Right. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And the Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him, and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. No man hath seen God at any time. What about Moses?
Right.
The guy.
He did. His face got all fucked up, I guess, but he did.
Yeah. The only begotten Son. Which, by the way, if you're Jewish, right? If the author was Jewish, he seems to know about Judaism, right? Based on other references, you would know that Moses talks face to face with Yahweh. Right?
Yeah.
That's like an essential aspect of the Torah, right? Even in rabbinical Judaism, when the Pharisees make arguments in favor of the oral Torah,
Yeah, but Reuben, nobody's seen the Gorn.
right? But when the Pharisees make arguments in favor of an oral Torah, or the rabbis of today make arguments in favor of an oral Torah, they make reference to Moses literally being given the oral Torah in his face-to-face meeting with God, and then delivering that to select disciples when he goes down from the mountain. So this is like a major aspect of Judaism and Rabbinic Judaism in particular. So if he's Jewish, he would know that and would not have written that line.
Yeah.
Unless he was from a Sadducees tradition, in which case he would deny the oral Torah, right? But that would be far less likely by this point in history, right?
For sure.
Anyways, let's continue on here. No man hath seen God at any time. the only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him. And this is the record of John. When the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, Who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I am not the Christ. And they...
I am not the Christ. It's like, we didn't ask if you were the Christ, sir.
Right. Now,
I'm not the president.
No.
Yeah, just
Throwing it out there.
imagine you're in this situation where like you meet someone and you've never met them before, and they're just like, "Hi, my name's Stu. What's your name? Who are you?" And you're just like, "I'm not the Christ."
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
You'd be like, no, I think you kind of are the Christ.
Yeah. So, we can continue on here if you want, or we could talk about a little bit, because there is a lot that happens here. I mean, I noted the Moses thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can probably continue, because there's
ironic actually that where it says no man hath seen God at any time immediately follows a mention of Moses.
Right. Yeah.
Super ironic.
Yeah. Anyways, then let's continue. So he says he's not the Christ.
Hold on. What verse is that?
Verse 18. No man hath seen God at any time.
So I am just checking here. Oh, yep. Okay. Okay. So sometimes the word know, like knowing something, is interpreted as seen, because that was one way you could know something.
Oh, this is not know.
No, I know. But I was like, sometimes, it's translated as see, even though it is know in the Greek. But no, it is see. It's
so far John has just blatantly told us A is equal to not A, and that he's trolling us about Moses. It's pretty good.
Something's going on. This is a very different gospel.
This is interesting. All right.
Very different. So I've got a lot to say about verse 20 and 21. So let me finish verse 21 here.
Apparently there are textual difficulties in verse 18.
Verse 18?
Yeah.
No man has seen God at any time, the only begotten Son, which is the bosom of the Father.
Yeah, so it contains a very difficult textual problem. What is the correct form of the phrase? So there are some manuscripts that read the only Son. There are others
that read it is an only Son. God, or it is the only Son.
Yeah, the only Son or the only God, or however, have quote only God. A different set of manuscripts, I should say. So it should be included there that P75 has the only God. Let's see, P66 has only God instead of the only God. And then a number of others include the only Son. Hirsch proposes to derive all of these variants from an original the only, so ho monogenes. The text was elaborated in various ways so as to exclude a misinterpretation with reference to the Gnostic aeon. So yeah, he decides like on the most simplest option. You get rid of that last word altogether. That's what that guy comes to the conclusion. But let's see what Textual Guide has to say. When scholars became aware of the readings of P66 and P75 in the mid-1950s, the external support for the reading only God was considerably strengthened. The reading only Son, followed by the RSV and NJB, is certainly the easier reading, but it seems that copyists wrote this under the influence of John 3:16 and 18 and 1 John 4:9. There's no reason that copyists would have omitted the definite article before the noun theos, and when huios, that means son, replaced theos, copyists would have added it. The shortest reading, ho monogenes, So the only may seem to be original, since it would explain the rise of the other readings, but the manuscript support for this reading is too limited. Some modern commentators take monogenes only as a noun and punctuate so as to have three distinct designations of him who makes God known. The reading in the text has been translated, "It is God, the only Son." And that's the NRSV, and quote, "but God, the one and only," in the NIV. So if the reading in the text is followed, Beasley Murray says that theos must be viewed as in opposition to the monogenes only, and be understood as God by nature. Okay. So they go with the with only God there.
All right. Well, we're getting into something that is very interesting in verse 21, which will actually put it at odds with several earlier Gospels, or earlier in this line of Gospels. I mean, we're not 100% sure.
Sure.
Probably Mark is older.
Oh, yeah. Mark is definitely the oldest.
And they asked him, "What then? Art thou Elijah?" And he said, "I am not."
Oh,
"Art thou that prophet?" And he answered, "No."
Yeah, so remember, there was the identification of Elijah and John the Baptist in other Gospels.
Which is something that is affirmed continually.
It pretty much is, yeah. So now he's like, straight up, the answer is no, not Elijah.
That's
I
right.
guess he personally in the other Gospels didn't say that he was Elijah. It's just what everybody assumed, right?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about this. Elijah, his ascent to heaven in a fiery chariot led to speculation that he remained alive and would return to herald the Messianic age.
Yeah.
There is little concrete evidence to suggest this was a widespread belief among Jews in the Second Temple period. Elijah's role as Messianic forerunner is mentioned in Justin's Dial, 8.4, 49.1, as well as in a Baraita, a pre-Talmudic but non-Mishnaic tradition found in the Talmud, in Erov 43a through b, which refers to this point in the context of a discussion of whether a Nazirite can drink wine on Sabbath and holidays, but indicates that the Messiah's coming may or may not be preceded by Elijah's return. The prophet, when they ask, "Are you this prophet?" This might be referring to the expected prophet like Moses. Deuteronomy 18:15 through 18. First Maccabees 4:46, 14:41, 1QS 9:11.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah. The interrogation may reflect a polemic against those who viewed John the Baptist as the Messiah, which is still a tradition that exists today, as we've noted before, that there are some communities that follow this John the Baptist tradition.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it's too popular, though.
It's not popular.
Yeah.
But anyways, that very interesting verse, very much so at odds with both
the other Gospels, yeah.
the other Gospels and a historical account of what Second Temple Jews would actually expect. So anyways, let's continue on. Then they said unto him, "Who art thou? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. What sayest thou of thyself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Isaiah." This sounded almost like Darkwing Duck.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I remember that vaguely.
Great.
Yeah. I am the voice of the one crying in the wilderness.
Okay. I remember the character vaguely, is what I should say.
You should watch all of Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, get on that.
Yep. And they asked which were sent to the Pharisees. And they asked him, and he said unto them, "Why baptizest thou then, if thou be not that Christ, nor Elijah, neither the prophet?" John answered them, saying, I baptize with water, but there standeth one among you, whom ye know not. He it is, who coming after me is preferred before me, whose shoe latchet I am not worthy to unloose.
Wow.
Yeah,
There's a new one.
that is pretty intense. Now let me see.
You can't even undo his shoe.
Yeah, can't even do that. The Christ, Messiah, it means the anointed one. In the Old Testament, it points to a significant being set apart for service, particularly as king, or also as high priest. But people were looking for not just an anointed one, but the anointed one.
Yeah, right. So
Now, if you actually look at the Old Testament, references to HaMashiach, the anointed one, don't really appear. When they do appear, they're very situational. They're either talking about a specific king or about a specific high priest.
yeah, was David was listed as that, right? I think.
Yes, yeah. And those in the Davidic line would also be Mashiachs, right?
Sure.
So like Joseph, being of the Davidic line, would also be Messiah, right? Well, he hasn't gone through the ritual of being anointed, but he would be candidate for being a Messiah.
Sure.
Right. And all that would have to happen is like people recognizing him as Messiah in order for him to be Messiah. This idea that there is the anointed one is erroneous. There is one son of David who appears prior to the day of Yahweh, but that son of David may or may not be referred to as HaMashiach. I think it might happen once.
Yeah, not sure.
But really that would just be like in context something that's being brought up, and besides which at that point there would probably be tons of descendants of David in general.
Well, yeah, of course there would be, yeah.
Yeah. But also there were specific things that were pointed out leading up to the appearance of that son of David, which Jesus never qualifies for. Things like the end of all wars with swords being beaten into plowshares, things like the Gentiles and the nations coming to the Jews as guidance.
I think the whole thing was that he would eventually bring that stuff, right? So when it comes to like any eschatological worldview, they believe that is when that will happen. Mm. When you get like that final day of judgment.
Yeah, but there is no reference in the Old Testament to a Messiah who just pops up and then dies and is resurrected. No reference whatsoever.
Yeah. The resurrection thing is new, except for
the only relevant Messiah who might be referred to as the Messiah is the son of David, who appears immediately preceding the day of Yahweh. Like, that's the only one who would be relevant. And in fact, Jesus presents himself in that way in multiple gospels prior, where he says, like, the day of the Lord is going to be coming. It will not one generation will pass before these things happen.
Yeah.
Right. So
that did not work out very well.
Right. He is being presented as that son of David, but he is not. He does not meet the qualifications, and his predictions don't come true. So, according to biblical law, as a prophet who makes predictions that don't come true,
right, false prophet,
supposed to be put to death. So really, if John wants to complain that the Jews put Jesus to death, he would have to complain against the commandments of Yahweh, right?
Well, sure, yeah. But also, Jason, I don't know if, the day of the Lord, sure. But I think with, I know that a lot of people still, even now, are expecting some kind of final judgment, right? Mm. So it's
when the man comes around.
Yeah, right. When the man comes around, kind of thing. Yeah. So I mean, it would make sense to have the destruction of Jerusalem be that, but it also wouldn't. It wouldn't. A lot of the stuff that you expect eschatologically to happen there would not have, I guess. Because there wasn't like some big reversal in social roles, for example, because that was one of the things that was, that they were talking about, consistently referenced in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So I guess it would just be an interesting identification.
Yeah, I guess so. So let me continue on here. He's like, I'm not the Christ. I'm not Elijah. He says that there's one among you who I'm not worthy to even touch their shoe latchet. These things were done in Beth Abara, beyond Jordan, where John was baptizing. The next day John seeth Jesus coming unto him, and saith, Behold!
Behold!
The Lamb of God.
By the way, I did check. The lamb here is, where was it? I swear I had it. Amnos. There it is. Amnos. Okay, so that's the one that is used in John, in the Gospel of John, while Adonion is used in Revelation.
The Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world, not something that was predicted in the Old Testament. This is he of whom I said, After me cometh a man, which is preferred before me, for he was before me. And I knew him not, but that he should be made manifest to Israel. Therefore am I come to God, the language
come to
here
what
is
now?
terrible. Therefore am I come baptizing with water.
Okay.
And John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it abode upon him. So this is something that Jesus sees in Matthew.
Like
here
near the end.
It's John seeing it.
Yeah.
And so it abode upon him, and I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize with water, the same said unto me, Upon whom thou shalt see the Spirit descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptizeth with the Holy Ghost. And I saw and bear record that this is the Son of God. Again, the next day after John stood and two of his disciples, and looking upon Jesus as he walked, he saith, Behold!
Behold!
The Lamb of God. And the two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. Then Jesus turned and saw them following, and saith unto them, What seek ye? They said unto him, Rabbi, which is to say, being interpreted, Master, where dwellest thou? Why would they include an explanation of rabbi?
That is interesting. It does include an explanation there. That's what, verse 38? Yeah, it looks like 38.
Yeah, let me see here.
Yeah, so I'm currently looking over that.
There's no note in the Jewish annotated New Testament. But maybe.
I mean, I'll check the Greek. Maybe it's not even.
There's also no note in the NIV Study Bible.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I got no note on here either. Is that just the one spot where that comes up?
Yeah. Is this in Eerdmans?
That's a good question. Yeah, because it's not here either. So I guess they're just adding that for our sake. Thanks.
Also
Author
not
John?
commented on in Eerdmans.
Interesting. All right. But thank you for that definition of rabbi.
Yeah. He saith unto them, Come and see. They came and saw where he dwelt, and abode with him that day. For it was about the 10th hour. One of the two which heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first findeth his own brother Simon, and saith unto him, We have found the Messiah, which is, being interpreted, the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus, and when Jesus beheld him, he said, Thou art Simon, the son of Jonah. Thou shalt be called Cephas.
Thou shalt be called, what was it?
Cephas, which
okay.
is by interpretation a stone.
Oh, okay.
So is this?
Wait, hold on.
This is verse 42.
Yeah, verse 42. Sorry.
Cephas, rock in Aramaic. Peter.
Yeah.
Greek, Petros.
Petros, yeah.
Right. So, I guess he's using the Aramaic to refer to Peter here.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The day following, Jesus would go forth into Galilee, and findeth Philip, and saith unto him, Follow me. Now Philip was out of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip findeth Nathanael, who saith unto him, We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus, son of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Now, is there a verse reference here of some kind? Philip implies that he and others were searching for a Messiah who would fulfill the Torah and scriptural prophecies. The reference may be to the prophet like Moses.
You know what they say? Seek and you will find.
The reference may be to the prophet like Moses described in Deuteronomy 18:15 through 18, the Son of Man from Daniel 7:13,
Thank you, Klaus,
8:18.
for the €4.99.
Yes, thank you, Klaus. Very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. We also appreciate the pacified guy adding more comments.
Yeah,
just say stuff.
that's interaction.
Yeah,
We
the
That's
more
appreciate
viewership.
yeah, the more interaction we get, the more viewers. We
Yeah,
get,
because that's
so-
how the algorithm works. So
Yep.
thank you. Thank you for helping us.
Yes. So this could be the prophet like Moses, the Son of Man from Daniel, or Elijah. So this could be a number of things that they're referring to, but those could also be distinct things. It's not exactly clear. And, yep. Okay. And there's also not a reference here to the virginal conception. Right? They say Jesus
Yeah.
of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.
Yeah. So remember the nativity only is in 2 gospels, and John is not one of them. We already went over them.
Yeah. So there's no miraculous conception or miraculous birth here. Here they're connecting him with Joseph, which is rejected in the other gospels, creating a contradiction in the Bible, in the New Testament in general, but also which would be convenient here because it implies that Jesus is legitimately of the Davidic line,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
thus could be an anointed one. Right. And Nathanael said unto him, Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth?
I don't know. Can it?
Philip saith unto him, Come and see. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, and saith of him, Behold,
Behold!
an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. And Nathanael saith unto him, Whence knowest thou me? Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee.
Creepy, but okay.
Yeah. Nathanael answered and saith unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. Jesus answered and said unto him, Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. And he saith unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. That is the end of chapter 1.
You know, I know that most of that was commentary, right?
Yes.
But that was still a fairly long chapter.
Yeah. Now, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, family, neighbors, and we're halfway through our broadcast today. So, do you hear something?
Well,
Lawrence?
I mean, to get 2 more
yeah,
chapters.
but
But
we're
yeah,
halfway through our
fine, whatever. I
broadcast.
hear something. Oh no.
Oh no.
It's loud. I've never heard it before in my life.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
That's true.
Back.
Oh, hello. Thanks, Jesus. That was really nice. I very much appreciated you stopping by and doing your thing. We were just reading about you and your relationship to God, maybe. So, yeah, perhaps it was. Perhaps it was not.
You want us to have deeper voice inflections? Why?
No.
I'm not even going to try.
You're just doing that, though.
No.
No, you're not doing that.
I'm
No,
fine.
you're not.
Yes,
This is your normal voice.
This is my normal voice.
Wow.
Yeah. I
That
don't
is
wanna be
that
too
is
deep.
horrible.
I don't know.
Your normal voice
I
sucks.
think people's voice inflection just changes throughout the day, and
It
what
does,
they
yeah.
eat, and how hydrated they are, and if they smoked or not, and there's like a million reasons you can have a different voice. But in general, I don't think any of us have the deepest voices, and I don't care to pretend. Yeah.
No,
Just be
I don't know if
comfortable
I'd
with
want
what
to
you
have. I'm fine with my voice.
Yeah, same here. I've heard it
Yeah.
enough.
All right. Either way, so we're hopping into chapter 2 here. This is where we get the wedding at Cana. That's exciting. This is the whole water into wine thing. So it should be very exciting to. I don't know. He's probably not going to tell us how to make water into wine. But I was actually thinking about buying some wine and bringing it. And oh my God, look who it is.
Why didn't you buy wine?
Because I like immediately came here after
Yeah.
after that show.
Jerk.
Listen, I thought it would be like really funny to like pull it out when he turns the water into wine, and instead of drinking water, we just start drinking wine.
Yeah.
But then I also remembered, knowing myself, I'm probably gonna drink too much, and
Probably.
yes, and I got to drive later, got to go to work.
I mean, you could walk.
No, I'm not gonna fucking walk to work.
Yeah, you could.
I work quite a ways away.
Run then.
Oh yeah, I'll run.
Bro, I have driven to shit shots
in
drunk.
the freeway.
Come on.
I mean, I'm sure
on.
I'd be fine, but I
could
don't want to
autopilot
risk
the
it.
shit out of that. Like maybe
It's a-
there's construction now.
There is.
Yeah,
There's always
okay,
construction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Yeah, right. I am such a horrible person working on Sundays. Either way, yeah. So we're gonna hop into John chapter 2.
Yeah. Tell me all about it.
You know what I've been forgetting every single fucking time? The introductions in here.
Yeah, you have been.
That's fine though. They kind of suck. All right. So chapter 2, the wedding at Cana. On the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee.
Little is known of how a wedding was performed in the Holy Land in the first century, but clearly the feast was very important and might go on for a week. To fail in proper hospitality was a serious offense. Now, Cana is mentioned only in John's Gospel. It was west of the Sea of Galilee, but the exact location is unknown.
Classic. And the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." This is strange.
Yes.
I am kind of confused. So, okay.
Well, this is more than a minor social embarrassment, since the family had an obligation to provide a feast to the socially required standard. There was no greater variety in beverages, and people normally drank either water or wine. When he says, "My time has not yet come," several similar expressions are scattered throughout the gospel. They picture Jesus moving inevitably toward the destiny for which he had come. The time of his sacrificial death on the cross.
Like, yeah, I get that, but the weird time to bring it up, I guess. Okay, so verse 4 has
Did you know you're
occasioned...
gonna die?
Yes. Verse 4 has occasioned much concern, especially for Catholic exegetes, because it creates difficulties for Mariology. So, yeah, the address woman...
I'm just bringing it up because it's a weird time to bring it up.
I gotcha. Contains nothing really disparaging, but it is nevertheless surprising that Jesus addresses his mother here in the same terms as he does the Samaritan woman in 421 and Mary Magdalene, Magdalena in 2013. This form of address becomes more understandable, as does his way of putting his refusal. What does this have to do with me? In the light of Jesus's further response, my hour has not yet come. That means Jesus does not permit himself to be prompted to act by any human agent, even when the agent is his own mother. He is driven by the will of the Father alone. When Jesus then performs what is requested of him in a few minutes or a few days later, there is no contradiction in the eyes of the evangelist. Okay, so no one can tell him to do it's on his own terms. Okay, gotcha.
Dang, he's a badass.
Is he a badass or is he edgy? Let's find out.
You can be both.
Tally-ho.
All right, let's continue. Now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons.
Yeah, Jews became ceremonially defiled during normal circumstances of daily life and were cleansed by pouring water over the hands. For a lengthy feast with many guests, a large amount of water was required for this purpose. So this is what is being used for that.
All right, fantastic. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." So that's what this guy says to them. Time to drink up.
Yep.
This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him.
So John always refers to Jesus' miracles as signs, a word emphasizing the significance of the action rather than the marvel.
Yeah.
They revealed Jesus' glory.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he says this is the first one. So, I don't think we ever got, obviously the other Gospels had an order to them, but we never were told that one was the first miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess John is just taking that up and being like, this one's the first one.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Because it's kind of not really consequential. It's just kind of flashy.
Yeah. This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum. Because I don't know if it's Capernaum or Capernaum. I don't know.
Capernaum.
Capernaum, yeah. It's honestly, it's spelled different in the Greek too, which is kind of annoying.
Oh boy.
Yeah, right.
It's a lower level than Cana because it's situated on the shore of a lake. He went down to it.
With his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and they stayed there a few days.
Oh, how nice.
All right.
Nice.
They had like a beach vacay.
Oh, now we're getting to another section here where Jesus is cleansing the temple. Gotta love these. The Passover of the Jews was at hand. I was just checking back here to see if I think we got something about Passover before, pretty recently, but I guess not.
So we all know what Passover is. We don't need to go into detail.
No, yeah, we don't. Was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple, he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons, and the money changers sitting there.
Okay, so these would be unblemished and therefore acceptable for sacrifice. So they would be sold at the temple. And the money changers converted foreign currencies into the required half shekel for the temple tax. So that is relevant, though I have some contention there. It's not clear or even guaranteeable that these would be acceptable animals for sacrifice.
Mhm.
So, like, that is one reason to have contention with it.
And making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was, Klaus mentioned, wait till verse 215. Fuck.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
A whip of cords. The reference to this weapon is unique to John.
It's certainly unique.
Yeah, the same thing happens in other gospels, but John's the only one who mentions a whip of cords.
Yeah, holy shit. Drove them all out of the temple with the sheep and oxen, and he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons, "Take these things away. Do not make my father's house a house of trade." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." Now, where is that from?
Zeal from your house will consume me. Apparently, Psalm 69:9.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it 69:9? That's what
Yeah.
I got here? Yeah. So the Jews said to him, "What sign do you show us for doing these things?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, It has taken 46 years to build this temple, and will you raise it up in 3 days?
Yeah, Josephus states that the construction began in the 18th year of Herod the Great's rule, which was 20 or 19 BCE in Antiquity of the Jews, and concluded under the Roman governor Albinus, in 63 CE. Given that Jesus died some 30 years earlier, this reference contributes to the consensus concerning a post-70 dating of the gospel.
Yeah, I was going to hit on that actually. So they offer as evidence against Jesus the construction of the temple has been going on for over 40 years. The matter is so phrased that it sounds like the entire time was devoted to its completion. According to Josephus, it was begun in 20 or 19 BCE. It was completed shortly before the war with Rome. If this scene may be used to date the events, it would have taken place on Passover of year 28. The datum 46 years has contributed to the discussion of Jesus' age. Since Christians identified Jesus' body with the temple, they took this to be an indication of his age. That's hilarious. Moreover, the numerical value of the word Adam, Jesus is the second Adam, is 46 years. But Irenaeus was already aware of such speculations and even knew their sources. According to Irenaeus, the presbyters had some information that had come to them through John, the disciple of the Lord. Damn. Phlegm. Come to him through John, the disciple of the Lord, to the effect that Jesus was 40 or 50 years old when he taught in his prime. And that fits well with our verse if one thinks of the construction time of the temple as 46 years up to this time, and correlatively identifies Jesus' answer with his age. It follows that he was then 46 years old. If the temple of his body were destroyed, Jesus would raise it up again in 3 days. He would be raised up again after 3 days. It is also possible that in the background stood the attempt to render impossible Gnostic speculations regarding the number 30, the years of Jesus' life, and the number of Gnostic aeons. Man, I love this. I love the fact that just these little details can cause so much debate because they're just disagreeing with They just want to disagree with somebody else on something because they don't agree with that interpretation, so they really stretch it out. It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
So let me give a little detail about the cleansing of the temple and Jesus in the Jewish festivals. Okay, the cleansing of the temple scene is present in all four Gospels. In the fourth Gospel, this Gospel, The scene comes at the outset of Jesus' ministry. It is two main points: to stake Jesus' claim to the temple, his Father's house, and to identify Jesus' body as the temple, that is, as the locus for God's abiding presence. The scene thus becomes an expression of Johannine Christology, as well as a foreshadowing of Jesus' death and resurrection. By contrast, the synoptics place this event at the end of Jesus' ministry. For these Gospels, the scene is the catalyst for the Jewish authorities' plot against Jesus that culminates in his crucifixion. Although some have argued that the author of the fourth Gospel modified the synoptic accounts, it is more likely that John and the synoptics drew on a common source that each redacted to serve specific theological and narrative purposes. Now, on the Jewish festivals, Jesus goes up to Jerusalem. To go up is the usual expression for travel to Jerusalem.
You always go up to Jerusalem.
See Zechariah 14:16.
Yeah, I had it in Psalms too. It was everywhere.
And the later rabbinic phrase, ascent for the pilgrimage festival. For the pilgrimage festivals of Passover and tabernacles or Sukkot or booths, as well as as for an unnamed festival that may have been Shavuot or the Feast of Weeks, on one Passover, Jesus remains in Galilee, and he feeds thousands of people from only a few pieces of bread or fish. This departure from Jewish customs and Jesus' own practice constitutes a partial fulfillment of the prophecy that he made to the Samaritan woman in 421, that the hour is coming when the true worship of the Father will be tied to neither Mount Zion, the Jews' holy mountain, nor Mount Gerizim, the Samaritans' holy mountain. Within the experience of the earliest audience who heard this gospel, in the decade after the destruction of the temple, this deviation from practice may reflect the view that Jesus had not only co-opted but also displaced the Jewish festivals.
All right.
Why don't you continue on? You're
So 46 years. Yeah. But he was speaking about the temple of his body. When therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed. Sorry, I read that wrong. They believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Now, when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover feast, many believed in his name when they saw the signs that he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, did not entrust himself to them, because he knew all people and needed no one to bear witness about man, for he himself knew what was in man. Interesting phrasing there.
The NRSV says, for he himself knew what was in everyone. Needed no one to testify about anyone, for he himself knew that what was in everyone.
Right. He doesn't need other people to help him out. He's a strong, independent man. He's a strong, independent wisdom.
Yeah.
Who don't need no witnesses, I guess.
That's pretty good.
We're about to get into a speech of Jesus's.
Yes, and this is the final chapter of the day too, John 3.
Yeah. So if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors, etc. Chapter 3.
There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him.
Wow. Noticed it right away. Didn't even have to ask.
Now, Nicodemus is a Greek name used among Jews as Nakdimon. Nicodemus's leadership role isn't specified.
Fantastic.
Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee. John has taken this catchphrase a step further. Instead of just saying, Verily, I say unto you, it says, Verily, verily, I say unto thee. Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus saith unto him.
The whole thing about being born again,
I know it goes into this.
Yeah.
And Nicodemus saith unto him,
How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? Gross. Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God.
So, baptism.
Right. So there's the baptism is a second act of birth, which is a little different. The water refers to purification. Here's baptism, but it could also be interpreted as general water purification rituals.
That would also make sense, yeah.
There is also an aside here for being born again. The Greek term anothen can mean again or from above. There is no need, however, to choose between these alternative meanings in this verse. The gospel often employs word plays that contribute to its technique of misunderstanding on the part of the disciples or other dialogue partners, and correction on Jesus' part. In contrast to 3:8, which features a word play, spirit and wind, that works both in Greek and in Hebrew/Aramaic, this one works only in Greek. Indeed, the entire gospel reflects a strong familiarity with the Greek language rather than Hebrew or Aramaic. The idea of rebirth from above is hinted at in the prologue, which distinguishes between those born of blood, human flesh and will, and those born of God. Some modern evangelical Christians refer to themselves as being born again into a personal relationship with Christ. I know. We've met some of those.
We've met many.
Yep.
Thanks.
Never understood those people who are like, I have a personal relationship with Jesus. No, you don't. You don't go golfing, okay?
Would you want to go golfing with? I mean, I guess if you get to hang out with Jesus, I guess you just do whatever. Did you think Jesus would like
golfing's not as
golf?
bad as everyone says it is.
Yeah, golfing's fun.
It's all right.
Have you ever gone golfing?
Yeah.
You want to do a summer golf class?
I've already done golf classes.
It's for fun.
If you want to just go,
You guys are bougie.
If you want to just go to a golf course, play golf. We can play golf.
We could do that.
See, mini golf is fun because I don't have to walk very far.
Whatever.
You don't have to walk very far if you use a golf cart.
Yeah,
that is also
Have
true.
you never used a cart? Oh my gosh! I guess we've gone golfing and you just haven't. Okay.
Yeah. Jeez. You know, there's a place a little north of here where you don't even have to have a membership.
Yeah.
Okay. I the only golf course around here that I know is where is it? Over on Green Bay or something? Over by Green Bay?
Oh, there's a few of them.
Yeah, there's the bog and stuff.
Yeah, there's the Brown Deer.
Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's
either way, golf
a
sucks.
few of them.
There's one for sale in Mequon.
Oh my god! Don't.
You want to buy the Mequon golf course?
I don't know.
It's only 11K.
Everybody, donate all of your money to us.
It's only 11K, guys.
Well, it might be worth it.
That's pretty cheap.
What are we gonna do with the golf
Actually,
course?
really small.
Charge a membership fee and make a lot of money.
For golf, okay.
Yeah.
People do it.
I know that people do it, but I feel fucking gross because it's golf.
What's wrong with golf?
It's just bad.
It's better than football.
What isn't? That's
Yeah,
not
I
a
guess.
good argument.
It's better than basketball.
I like basketball actually.
Well, you should like golf.
I think golf's okay.
See, he has a golf cart.
No,
It's
he
great.
he said he just likes the golf cart. He didn't say he likes golf.
Well, I'm sure he likes the golf cart at least.
Moving on.
Anyways, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again.
Where did we have I forget which text it was, but they made a huge distinction between the spiritual things staying spiritual.
Might be Second Enoch.
Okay, it was definitely apocryphal, whatever I'm thinking of. But that's what that reminded me of.
Wisdom of Solomon.
What?
Never mind.
Just talking to yourself?
Wisdom of Solomon. I don't know.
Was it? I don't
I
think
was
it
thinking.
was.
I was just thinking.
It might have been.
You just couldn't hear what I said.
I'm pretty sure in one of the Enochs they make a big deal about the. Yeah. Because in Second Enoch they talk about those two cosmic entities that God takes from being spiritual matter and turns
Right.
them into physical matter, and then
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's Second Enoch. Which, by the way, we should make a video about that, even though there's no information about them or references to them outside of those verses. But they're pretty cool.
I still want to do a video on the
Suffering servant.
also yes.
Patriarchs.
Also yes. But yeah, it's okay. At some point I want to get to it. But the whole 10,000 worlds
Yeah.
that God created.
18,000 worlds.
18,000
It was
was it?
18,000. Yes, I remember specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it was God
Definitely
apparently
make a
created
card
a lot of
about that.
worlds.
Right. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Jesus answered and said
Just
unto
lost
him,
and confused, yeah.
Yeah. Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so
Hold on,
must the
which
Son of
verse?
Man be lifted up.
Hold on, which verse had the whole Son of Man thing? The first one?
Verse 13.
Verse 13, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a weird one, huh? Like I know that he's so yeah, the ascension into heaven is already a past event. The speaker's perspective is thus that
The statement also ignores Enoch and Elijah.
Yeah, I was gonna say because they didn't come back. Although if you had the idea that John the Baptist was Elijah, then he would have come back, right?
He outright said that he's not.
Right, I know. But also, yeah, Enoch completely forgotten about.
Mhm.
Like, what are we gonna do? Like, Enoch was, he's a fucking rock star.
Yeah.
Classic.
Shout out to Enoch.
So it's interesting there that he's doing that, and he's that he just does not think about Enoch.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Now, lifting up the serpent happens in Numbers 21, 4 through 9.
He put up that, I think it was called Nehushtan or something like that. Everyone was like worshiping it and whatnot.
Yeah, he holds up a serpent to save Israel from a plague of snakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. Now this next verse is the most often quoted verse in the New Testament.
Yep.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Kind of a thesis of Christianity here.
Yeah.
Yep. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. So that's the end of his little speech, but not the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
So, any commentary you want to deliver on that?
No, honestly, there's not even that much commentary that you could put on. Like, even though it is the most cited verse in the Bible, there's not actually that much commentary on it because it's pretty straightforward.
We get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says what it does.
Yeah. I do want to point out that Greek manuscripts lack punctuation.
Yes.
Of course.
So identifying the speaker in long discourses is difficult.
Yes.
These verses that I just finished reading are often attributed to the narrator rather than Jesus.
Oh, okay.
But in the KJV red text, they are attributed to Jesus. Those verses being John 3:16 through 21.
Oh, yeah, yes. These are not in here. That's funny.
Yeah. So it's up to interpretation who is speaking those
Yeah,
words.
because it is really not clear in Greek ever. And it's actually really, really difficult to have direct or to translate direct speech like that.
Mm-hmm.
And indirect speech. That's even more annoying because there are just more grammar rules for that. But when it comes to like finding who's talking in each sentence and where it starts,
Right.
it's actually really difficult. Not gonna lie. Do I think the whole I can't fucking read. Do you think the temple is his body was a backpedal from the temple prophecy from the synoptics that failed to happen?
Well, it didn't fail to happen eventually.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it was destroyed, right? Do I think it was a backpedal? Yeah, it easily could be.
Could be a backpedal.
Yeah, or it could just be like this, this addition to this new text that's like, oh, well, that didn't happen. Let's throw this in. But in which case, would the author have used that metaphor in the first place then?
Maybe. I mean, it could just be linking things together in order to try and build a case erroneously.
Yeah, although it seems like the author of John really did like doing that. Like he did it with all the names too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Totally could be though.
Well, let me continue on here with verse
No.
22.
Uh-huh.
After these things came Jesus and his disciples into the land of Judea, and there he tarried with them and baptized. And John also was baptizing in Aenon, near Salim, because there was much water there. And they came and were baptized, for John was not yet cast into prison. Then there arose a question between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purifying. And they came unto John and said unto him, Rabbi, he that was with thee beyond Jordan, to whom thou bearest witness, behold, the same baptizeth, and all men come to him. John answered and said, A man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. Ye yourselves bear me witness that I said I am not the Christ, but that I am sent before him. He that hath the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy therefore is fulfilled.
Well, right now the bridegroom's voice sucks.
Oh, no.
Were you doing like some anime thing?
Yeah. Anime as fuck.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going for. See, I can recognize that.
Yeah.
Generic anime.
Generic anime, yeah.
I mean, it's better than the Eve voice.
Oh,
It is.
God.
That's true. The voice is very bad.
I can do the last few verses in the Eve voice.
Please don't.
Spare me.
He must increase,
Oh no.
but I must decrease. He that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaketh of the earth. He that cometh from heaven is above all. And what he hath seen and heard, that he testifieth, and no man receiveth his testimony. He that hath received his testimony hath set to his zeal that God is true. For he whom God hath sent, there's a smudge,
Okay.
Speaketh the words of God. For God giveth not the Spirit by measure unto him. The Father loveth the Son, and hath given all things into his hand. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. And that is the end
Of the readings for the day.
the readings for the day. Hey, if you enjoyed the stream, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, family, neighbors,
Snakes.
snakes, countrymen.
Nicodemuses.
Check us out on Patreon.
Put up the new. Actually, hold on. Before you, I mean, you can pin the shirt if it pops up, the new one.
Guess not.
That's unfortunate.
We do have a new shirt.
We do. Actually, scroll the way up. Scroll the way up.
No,
It wasn't all the way up.
no, it's not there.
Oh, okay. That is that's unfortunate.
Well, we do have a new shirt.
Yes.
It's not going to be pinned, but you can check it out. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, look at it. I
The
mean,
Church of Piety.
Yeah, if Chris is putting it up right now. Yeah. That's the design that's on the shirt. One of our mods made that. I don't know if she's currently, I didn't see her in chat earlier, but
Who was it?
Alicia.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is like, look at this. Look at how great that looks. That looks fucking gorgeous. And that is going on shirts, and you can get those. Like, the thing is, I'll be sending this to all the patrons that have already won shirts. That I owe shirts to, I should clarify. And yeah, that I owe shirts to, they'll be getting one of these bad boys. So if you just want to get the shirt, you could do that. You can go on our Teespring, get the shirt,
Or you
join our
could
Patreon.
enter into our Patreon giveaways
Yes.
for certain like you can win a T-shirt once a month. We have a raffle.
Yes,
we
do.
spin a wheel, spinny.
Yeah, all patrons of $10 or more get entered into a T-shirt giveaway. So we give away shirts. If you do that, if that is the way you want to go about it, want to take your chances, but then you got to compete with Landon. Nobody likes competing with Landon. So I think it looks great. Church of Piety, get it?
Yeah. Piety.
That was your joke, I think.
Yeah.
It was good. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Anyway, we also have an Amazon wish list.
We do. Lots of books on there. You could
lots
put
of
more
books.
books on this table. You could put books on our bookshelves so we can read them for source material when we do long form videos. Yeah, that's mostly what's on the wish list.
That's basically it.
And then Facebook and Twitter. Free to follow us on those platforms. All links are in the description below.
Yep. So
That's it.
that's it.
Thanks for joining us.
And we will see you on Friday and then Sunday
Gonna
and
keep
then
going
Friday
with the
and then Sunday
Life of
and
Adam
then
and Eve
Friday and
Part
then
2
Sunday
Electric
and then
Boogaloo.
Friday and then